Right, let me make sure I have these facts correct. So, Joe Manchin of West Virginia agreed to give the USA 7.5 trillion over 10 years for the military, but is now blocking 3.5 trillion for infrastructure and climate change. And his family owns two coal companies. So his income is solely reliable on fossil fuels. No chin Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans voted for the USA to default on its debt, the debt they created and added 7 trillion more in the last 4 years. And those same senators also won't allow an investigation into the January 6th terrorist attack on our capital. Before the pandemic, there was one person worth $100 billion. Now there's 10. But the Senate is ready to shut down the government to deny vital services to avoid taxing them. In Texas, a person can now walk around strapped with any gun they seem fit because this fucking country is obsessed with guns, and they can do so without a permit. Yet, in the same state of Texas, a rape victim can't seek proper medical attention and has to also live in fear that someone, probably carrying the aforementioned obsessed gun, can receive $10,000 for turning them in under the suspicion of getting an abortion. What the hell is going on here? Speaking of hell, Jim Jordan. Welcome to the Social Spreader. Today I'm going to actually address one of the things that I ended the last episode with. Yes, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. I think it's hilarious that the people who always come to the defense of Michael Jordan, especially after that 10-part commercial. Sports fans, learn the difference between voyeurism and journalism. That was not a documentary. So he hit shots over Craig Elo, John Starks, Shannon Anderson, Byron Russell, and even in the documentary, he admitted that for the first 5 to 10 years of his career, he was playing against hungover drug addicts that also had second jobs. Okay. Okay. I also think it's even more amusing when Michael Jordan fans, when they go on their high horse of he's the best individual player, all you have now is team accomplishments. I'm so glad that his team played scrubs in every single NBA Finals. That's right. You heard it here. Name one team that they played in the finals that was any good. All right. And don't come at me with the Trailblazers, where Terry bleeping Porter was the second best player on that team. But one of the things that really kind of cemented it for me as if I needed it, I was out in Las Vegas and I was having a meal with a group of guys that are more or less involved within the industry. And I got introduced to them through the guy who helped me out when I was in college when I won the Oregon game. And one of the guys that was there said something that really resonated with me. And as someone who is a sports gambler, you need to know just kind of how to look at things. And he said something very, very, very interesting. In every single one of Michael Jordan's trip to the finals, he was a heavy favorite, Not so with LeBron, and that's because LeBron played superior teams. It's a team sport. And the most fascinating stat that I ever heard was this: return on investment, rate of return. You're gonna hear me say that very often. And for every dollar that you would have wagered on Jordan to win in the NBA Finals, you would have won 69 cents. Nice. Um, and for every dollar that you would have wagered on LeBron in the NBA Finals, you would win 88 cents. That's all the proof that I need. That's all the proof that I've ever really needed is that when it came down to it, Jordan was supposed to win because he played scrubs. And for any of you who are open to a discussion about whether or not Ron Harper and Randy Brown could hang with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, Leandro Barbosa in their first run. Um, I'll be happy to talk to you about that. I'd be happy to. That was the greatest team of all time. And when LeBron beat the greatest team of all time, that was the greatest finals performance ever and cemented him as the greatest player of all time. Can you tell I'm excited for the NBA season or just basketball season? Because every single year there's a team that always goes underneath the radar that nobody knows about, and they cover at an incredible clip. Just incredible. I'm going to go over those as we continue, but let's do some lines real quick. So one of the games that I wanted to talk to you guys about was this one. Okay, no one gives a shit. I get it. Western Michigan, Buffalo Bulls. All right. Why are we talking about this? Western Michigan is 3-1 straight up and 3-1 against the spread. But here's the thing that we're gonna be talking about. The Bulls are in the MAC, and anyone who is really into this, MACtion is really fun. Getting some MACtion, always a good day. The last 10 games that the Buffalo Bulls have played at home, they are 10-0 against the spread. Let that sink in. They're 14-5 against the spread in their last 19 games. In fact, I believe, and I'm going to check it right now, I believe over the last at least 2 seasons, what the Buffalo Bulls are able to do at home is nothing short of extraordinary, just extraordinary. Their most recent home game, they played Coastal Carolina, 28-25 as a 14-point dog. And Coastal, if anybody has been keeping up with them, they haven't been beating people. They've been killing people. Last year at home, they were 3-1. Actually, no, that's not that. That would be the conference championship game. They were undefeated against the spread at home. 2019. Oh, all this information. I know in the first episode I said I didn't really know the rules. I'm just going to give credit where credit is due. Oddshark.com. This is the greatest resource that I have ever seen. They've got just an almanac, if you will, of every single team and every single matchup that you can look at historical trends. You can look at what the actual history of the matchup is. But Oddshark is the greatest resource I've ever used. And if anyone is listening from Oddshark, I'd love to be a sponsor for you or give you a plug every time I talk. So last year, 1-0 against the spread, 2-0 against the spread, 3-0 against the spread, 4-0 against the spread, 5-0 against the spread at home. Look, you can make what you want of it. Western Michigan's actually a pretty good team. They're hot right now. They beat Pittsburgh by 3 as a 14-point dog, and they just beat San Jose State. Now, for anybody listening, last year, I know it was a messed up year for all of us, especially when it came to sports, because it really threw a wrench in everything that was happening. San Jose State was the top team against the spread last year. They were undefeated going into their, I believe they went to the Las Vegas Bowl. I could be mistaken, but they played Ball State and they lost. That was their only loss against the spread. And I do believe there was some kind of issue going on with their quarterback. So that's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of sports wagering. As I touched on the previous show on Wednesday, I'm sure all of you had the Hilltoppers, the Roadrunners. I can't believe I said that. I can't believe it. The Hilltoppers, the Roadrunners, and the Falcons from Bowling Bleeping Green as the top three teams currently right now in the nation against the spread in college football. We are going to talk more about the NFL. I was 6-0 in the NFL last week. But at the end of the day, um, man, as I've said before, this is hard. The NFL is maybe the hardest, which probably means why the handles at the casinos are the highest every single Sunday. um, and so when I when I'm taking a look right here at Western Michigan against Buffalo, right now, okay, the Bulls are a 7-point underdog at home, so I'm getting points and home. And right now, 90% of the money is over 60. 60% of the money is on the Bulls. That's pretty much a coin flip. When I say public funding, when I say the public money, where's the public at? That's just what I like to see as to where the majority of the money is. Because, and I'm going to say this numerous times, and I don't care if you think it's annoying. There's the reason why those huge casinos and huge hotels are out in the middle of nowhere in the desert is because the average sports fan is a lemon who uses this, not this. Um, I'm also gonna. That actually gave me an idea of something else I want to talk about. But what we're gonna do here today is we're gonna take a look at the last three between Western Michigan and Buffalo. And the shocking thing is Western Michigan has won two out of the last three. Buffalo has covered two out of the last three. The unders hit twice, and the average score is 34-36. So these two teams truly do, man, they match up well. Damn, man, these match up well. So anytime that I'm going through this, I'm looking for an edge as well. I'm looking at all of these games, trying to find an edge, trying to find something that gives me some confidence in terms of where to put my pick. Um, Western Michigan's 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Bulls, but so is everybody. And let me see here. Western Michigan, their injury report seems pretty clean. Same thing with the Bulls. Um, and if I'm getting points at home, man, it's tough to go against the Bulls. Western Michigan, though, is a good squad, man. They're a good squad. 7-3 their last 10 straight up. Buffalo's 11-3 straight up in their last 14. And as I said, the aforementioned 10-0 against the spread in their last 10 at home. That is unfathomable from a sports wagering standpoint. That some team truly underneath the radar, I would assume they maybe get 2% of the total action, and that's so sad because that happens a lot. That's why I want to make you guys aware of right now the top three teams against the spread is because while you're looking at Alabama, Georgia, Florida, SEC teams, Clemson, which is just a dumpster fire. While you're looking at all of these top team programs, top tier programs, never forget that's what the sports books want you to do. The amount of action that they have on certain matchups, when you look at it from a competitive standpoint, sure, everybody wants to have action this weekend when Arkansas plays Georgia or Ole Miss plays Alabama. Everybody wants action on that game. I don't, because I don't have action on any of the games that I watch, and I want to watch those games. I know it's weird. I don't watch the games, but it's because why would I want to have a mini stroke for every false start? Why would I want to throw my remote at the TV every time there's a holding penalty? It just, the second you stop enjoying the sport is the second you can't pick a winner. Excuse me. If $5. And this is fun. It has to be fun. You're not going to do anything that's not fun. You're not going to do anything that puts you in a sour mood on the weekend. You have enough shit in your life during the week. You don't need something to put you in a sour mood over the weekend. So find a way to make it fun. Find a way to make it work for you. And that's why in the first episode I said, look, um, if you've convinced yourself, and gambler's math is hilarious. One of my closest friends, he was actually in my wedding. He actually falls victim to this often. Do you want to know why the payouts for parlays are so high? Because they know you're not going to hit them, and they want you to fall in love with how much you could make. And so, if you're a wagerer and you say, you know what, I did a 200, 1 week I did a $200 parlay, I missed it. Next week I did 300, yada yada yada. You've now over 6 weeks or 5 weeks, you've amassed $1,500 that you've lost. But if you hit your next one, and let's say you turn 200 into 1,600, all of a sudden in your mind you're up 1,600. Sorry, brah, that's not how it works. But that's how the sports gambling math works. I don't know why. It's incredibly self-destructive. And look, if you truly believe in your heart that you can make some sort of consistency or find some sort of consistency doing parlays and doing teasers, good for you. I'm happy for you. I truly am. Where the money from these casinos comes from, we all deserve a piece of the pie. Um, but again, there's a reason why the sports book puts that kind of a payout on there. They're trying to entice you. They're trying to make you look at what you could win, not the probability of that win, which is less than 10%. Anytime a parlay is three or higher, a three-team parlay or higher, your chances of hitting it are less than 10%. They know that. They're smarter than you. If you continuously feed them the money every single weekend on a parlay, and the reason why I don't do them is because I'm sick and tired of hitting 4 out of 5. I was sick and tired of hitting 3 out of 4 and walking away in the red. That just sucks. It's the worst feeling in the world that you've essentially picked 80% correct 4 out of 5, but you have nothing to show for it. You don't even have any pride to show for it. And so, again, if that's what you want to do and you want to shoot the moon every single weekend, okay. I just want to ask you this: if you're playing Hold'em and you have a good hand that you feel confident in, do you just automatically go all in every time? How does that treat people who go all in every time? It's the same mentality. And that's why I am solely a unit. I am my units have a amount that they're worth, whatever valuation that is, I can come up with, I can change. I also don't have a confidence meter, and that's probably why I don't do parlays either. When I'm looking at all these, when I'm putting together these sheets, what I'm all I do is look for an edge. It's a coin flip either way. Um, and the research and everything that I do, I feel it gives me confidence on that certain pick, but I don't feel more confident from one game than I do the other. And again, find something that works for you. This is what works for me. I hope that you do. I hope that you get a piece of this pie. But if you're 0 for 7 or 0 for 5 on $300 parlays to hit a couple G's, and then you hit one, you're even. So 1 out of 8 and you're even? That's fun for you? Okay. Okay. You do you. But when it comes to the reason why sports books allow such a high payout on that, it's because they know that you're being enticed. They know what they're doing when they say, hey, you go $300 on a 4-game parlay, we're going to give you, what, 3,700, something like that. It'll depend on your bets. I mean, if you've got underdogs in a 14 parlay, and you've got them all on the money line, geez, I mean, depending upon the actual payouts, you get something close to plus 250 on all of them. What you're looking at 300 to make 6 G's. I mean, hey, if you're that good, one, you should move to Vegas. Two, you should move to Vegas. And three, I wish you luck because that is very, 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 very hard. And again, if you're that good and you're not living in Las Vegas, you are doing something wrong. Um, anyway, off topic. Let's continue looking at the lines here. So we got Texas Tech at West Virginia. Now, as I said earlier, I pick all of the games that I'm interested in that I want to try to find an edge. So essentially, what I do here is pretty much just talk out loud. I talk my research out loud. So you can hear it. If you like anything I say, then go with it. As I said, it's a coin flip. If you like a certain stat that gives you the edge that you're looking for or supports your instinct, I always have an instinct on a game. And then what I do is I try to find something, some kind of an edge to support that. And so I'm looking at Texas Tech right now at West Virginia. West Virginia is a 7-point favorite at home. The over-under is at 56, 55 and a half, depending upon where you're looking. Oh, that also, hey, look, with the proliferation of the legality of this, shop around. If you've got a VIG at minus 120, um, look around or wait. There's no rush in putting in a wager, and the VIG is truly the only thing that's going to be inconsistent. The spread itself, when you see the lines come out Sunday night or early in the morning on Monday, if a team is a 10-point favorite, then all of a sudden they're a 14-point favorite, that's just the sharps. They moved it. They told the sports books, hey, look, you're off on this by so and so. There's a metric here that you missed. So what they do in terms of how much they put down is going to instantly change the spread. However, it's 4 points. Unless there's an injury or some kind of an event that happened within the coaching staff or something like that, you're rarely going to see more than a 4-point swing. Over unders, though, if there's a storm coming through, then you're going to see a huge change, and that is when you need to check the weather forecast. If you are someone who prefers to do the totals rather than the money lines or the spreads, then you got to get in to the forecast early, like Thursday early, because most of the time I know on the app that I use, the the accuracy of the weekend tends to be higher then. And so when a sharp moves a spread from say 10 to 14, okay, that was a touchdown, an extra point, and a field goal. Now it's just 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points. So when you look at it from that standpoint, there's not that much of a difference. Um, However, if you are going with a favorite, would you rather have a favorite 14 or 10? So when I'm looking at West Virginia, Texas Tech's offense is averaging 40. Let's check them on the road, though. Okay, on the road, they're averaging 37. West Virginia's averaging 33 at home. Boy, Texas Tech cannot stop a nosebleed, and the West Virginia defense at home gives up about 11 points per game. Now, for anybody who knows this, nobody wants to go to West Virginia for a myriad of reasons. Actually opened up with one. Um, but if you look at the last three, Texas Tech's 2-1 straight up, 2-1 against the spread. 28-35 is the average score. Texas Tech clipped them by 7 at home a year ago, but the year before that, in 2019, you know what? Let me confirm that real quick. Yep. West Virginia 7-0 straight up in their last 7-0 straight up in their last 7 games at home. They are 4-1 against the spread, their last 5 against a team in conference. However, Texas Tech is 4-1 straight up in their last 5, and they're 6-3 in their last 9 against West Virginia. 2-5 straight up, but they're only 2-5. Interesting. Wow. What an interesting matchup. Um, Tyler Shaw went down last week. Texas Tech is down there. Columbi. Columbi? Col Colombi? The new quarterback for Texas Tech. He's been named the starter because Tyler Shaw, the transfer from Oregon, looks like he broke his collarbone against Texas, so he is out. Um, I'm going to look at common foes. Now, the only one that I can see is on Halloween last year, Texas Tech played Oklahoma, and it was 62 to 28. West Virginia just went to Oklahoma and almost won. They were also coming off a win against V Tech. West Virginia, you know what? West Virginia's a really good lean here because you now have a first time starting quarterback going to West Virginia, where I said, oh my God, nobody wants to go to Mountaineer Field. So I think West Virginia's a pretty good lean in that one. Tulane against East Carolina. I know. Who gives a shit? East Carolina's a 3-point underdog at home. 80% of the money's on them. The over under 65, and right now, almost 100% of the money is on the over. Okay. The last three, Tulane is 3-0 against them, and they've covered twice. Tulane's got no one on the injury report. Tulane just lost a tough one to UAB. Ole Miss smoked them. They almost beat Oklahoma. East Carolina needed help. Is that Charleston Southern? But East Carolina also recently beat Marshall. They lost to South Carolina by 3. They lost to Appalachian State by 14. Okay. Tulane's 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 against East Carolina. They're 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 overall. Okay. Tulane's 4-1 straight up their last 5 against East Carolina. East Carolina's 1-4 against the spread their last 5 at home, and they're 3-point dogs. I'm going to take a good look at Tulane here. They're outscoring them on average. They're outscoring them by 9 points on offense. But that gets made up on the other half of the ball where East Carolina's given up 30, Tulane's given up 38. Now, that might be a little skewed because East Carolina's played that might be a little skewed because Tulane's played Oklahoma and Ole Miss, two very, very good offenses that could make a team's average look rather shitty, which I think may be the case here. I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into this. So the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Brent Musburger went into retirement, and if you remember, boy, I am so old. During his play-by-play telecast in the 70s. That's right. That's right, podcast world. I'm coming after you from with Brett Musburger saying things in the 1970s. He would always refer to my guys in the desert, and this is what he started. This is his retirement. He started a network called the Vegas Stats and Information Network, and I've been using them for years. And they send out very large, these are things you can purchase. They send out 350-page PDFs that have a detailed description of each team, returning starters, trends, kind of a quick synopsis of the team from one of the experts. Now, these are guys that look at it from a strictly gambling standpoint, so you're not going to see too much of the, of the non. Well, no, that wouldn't even make sense. You're going to see it strictly from a gambler's perspective. They also give what they think they're going to do from an over/under. From a season win total, whether to go over or to go under. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to take a look at Tulane, and I'm going to look at East Carolina, 42. East Carolina's got 20 guys back. Here's an interesting thing. Interesting. East Carolina is 4-11 against the spread the last 5 years at home with an over/under line of 60 or more. The over/under right now is 65. So, as I said, my instinct was to go Tulane. That's going really far against the money. As I said, 80% of the money is on East Carolina, and I love picking against the public. All right, that's what we do. Um, a fun fact to keep in mind: East Carolina is 10-0 in the over after playing Tulane, and they play UCF next week. We'll talk about that one. Let's fucking go. The next game, Louisiana Tech against NC State. Look, these teams, the last time these two teams played was in 2013, and it was a blowout. Now, Louisiana Tech's 4-8 against the spread in their last 12. North Carolina State's kind of hot. They are 5-1, and according to the injury report, Louisiana Tech's got 3 quarterbacks listed on that. That's not good. That is not good. I also had the over last week for Louisiana Tech in Northern Texas. North Texas, it didn't even sniff it. Anyway, and NC State's coming off a pretty good win against Clemson, a Clemson team that is just not the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at NC State. We're going to see if I can find any kind. Now, they've got 18 guys coming back. They have 18 guys coming back. Nothing really sticks out in terms of a trend. Let me see if Louisiana Tech's got anything. Maybe they can have some kind of a fun stat against like Power Fives. Just looking it up real quick. Also, NC State's 3-1 against the spread, so they've been a pretty good rate of return on your money. Here we go. Louisiana Tech is 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games as an underdog of 10 or more, and they're 18-point now. Listen, NC State's a good team. You could maybe think that this could be a good letdown spot because they just played Clemson. Huge win. Let me check something else real quick. No. I think NC State's a good lean, just because of Louisiana Tech's had 2 pretty tough games in a row. They are going on the road, and so I think NC State would be good. The next game I'm looking at is USF SMU. SMU is certainly flying underneath the radar. They're 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. And let me just check something real quick. Oh, as you can tell, I will not be doing any editing. I've heard that people on the internet are very tolerant and very nice of people making mistakes or not speaking clearly or saying something wrong, but I just don't care. If you want to somehow discredit something because someone doesn't say something the right way, that's a you problem. So SMU, Sonny Dykes, baby, he's a fun coach against the spread. So 4-1 to the over as a favorite of more than 7 points, and they're 21-point favorites at home against USF. Now here's the kicker: USF, they're 2-1 straight up against SMU the last 3. Now USF over the last 3 or 4 years were a different team than they are right now. I do think the over here would be something to take a look at. The total has gone over in 5 of the last 6 games for South Florida. Scattered thunderstorms, though. There's a 50% chance of storms. Tough to pick the over when it's raining. Ooh, SMU has hit the under twice at home. They've hit the over twice away. They're at home this evening. They're at home tomorrow night, and the trend is 17-4-1 in the over as a favorite of more than 21. Now that's in their last 22 games. Um, and whenever I see a trend like that, and if there's ever, as I said before, if there's ever going to be rain, it's really tough to go with the over when there's going to be any kind of inclement weather. And if they're 17-4-1 in the over the last 22 games as a favorite more than 7 points, and they're favored by 21, uh, in the rain, it's a good time to lean on the under, especially when you look at the last 3 games between these two teams. The under has hit 2 out of 3. So, um, yeah, I think the under might be in play here. Plus, USF has hit the over 3 out of 4. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got about 10 guys that are on their injury report. SMU doesn't really have anybody. SMU have beaten North Texas, Louisiana Tech by 2, and then TCU last week. They might be due for kind of a dud. I would lean in the under. Now we get to my shirt. Hawaii, one, the greatest place in the world to visit. But 2, for all of you seasoned gamblers out there, does anything beat the Hawaii chaser and trying to stay up for it? They are playing Fresno. Fresno before last week was a juggernaut against the spread. They were actually 4-0. Now they are 4-1 because they didn't cover against UNLV. I know, UNLV. The last time Hawaii played UNLV, they beat them 38-21. That was December of last year. UNLV played pretty well last week. Fresno's 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games against Hawaii. They're 8-2 straight up. They're 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games on the road. Man, it's gonna be. They're 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games and playing on the road against Hawaii. The line right now is currently Fresno at 10.5 or 11, depending upon where you shop. 90% of the money's on Fresno. Damn, that's a lot of money on them. Gonna look at the trends here for Hawaii. The total's got under in 7 of their last 9. 4 of their last 5 at home have went under, and the over/under 65. That's a lot of points. In their last 3, Fresno's 2-1. Both straight up and against the spread. Average score 36-30, and of course the over under 65. Oh shit! Sometimes I wonder why I do this. Hawaii's hit the under in 10 of the last 12 against teams in the Mountain West. My instinct was to lean Fresno, just because Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii played Oregon State tough, kind of tough. They didn't even cover, though. They played San Jose State tough. The last time Fresno played San Jose State, I got to look into last year real quick. And then I'm going to look up real quick to see if there's any trends or anything that we can find between these two teams. The season win total for Fresno was 6. Good God. Interesting. Fresno's won 6-1 against the spread at home before playing Hawaii. They played UNLV at home last year and last week, and they did not cover. Fresno State's 13-2 to the under on the road as a favorite, and they're favored against Hawaii. Interesting. Let's take a look at their trends for Hawaii. Hawaii 8-2 against the spread before playing Fresno State, and last week they played New Mexico State and they covered. Unbleeping real. Nah, not much there. Last year they went to Fresno and they crushed them. Wow, interesting. Boy, that's a tough one. I guess if I had to, my initial instinct was to go with Fresno just because I think they are the superior team. Either way, man, that might be a pass or it might be a sleeper. Now, what I mean by that is go with your gut. Always do that. Go with your gut. Maybe do a little lunch money on the under, because that was the only trend that we saw. Um, I personally don't know how any 18-year-old kid could go to Hawaii and like not be a little distracted. But maybe that's just me. But I call it a sleeper because you make it and you go to bed and then you check it in the morning. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed everything here on the show. I hope I gave you some insight. Maybe you found an edge that you didn't know was there. Have a good weekend. Good luck with your bets.